Hey everybody, today is February 15th and it's 62 degrees outside. You're probably wondering why I'm staring at a thermometer stuck in the ground. Now what I'm doing here is I'm taking the ground temperatures in preparation for one of our sprays. It's based off of a plant's timing schedule. It's actually Annual Bluegrass, and on our greens it is we have creeping bentgrass and Annual Bluegrass grass species. Annual Bluegrass is kind of an undesired plant. Not that it doesn't mow well or doesn't roll well or anything, but what it does is when it goes to reproduce in the spring, it produces a very nasty seed head. The seed heads can disrupt ball roll and everything, but the worst part of it is if you don't take care of those seeds, then it will self-sow itself and basically it'll take over your whole entire green. And we don't like that because Annual Bluegrass has a really short root system, and so during the summer months when it gets all hot and nasty out, it basically gets smoked out because its roots don't reach down into the soil profile to get that water way down below. So it causes a lot of hand watering and a lot of extra management. So typically you want to keep Poa annua or Annual Bluegrass out of your greens. However, ours is probably 65% Annual Bluegrass, 35% bentgrass, so we manage it. And this is why I'm taking the soil temperature. So what I do with this meat thermometer is I stick it about 3 to 4 inches into the ground, and that's going to tell us what the soil temperatures are there. It doesn't really matter air temperature; it matters the soil temperature of when grass plants and actually all plants start to germinate and come out of dormancy. I use this one of many tools to kind of dictate when we can time this spray application. And the spray application is basically to prevent the Annual Bluegrass from producing seed heads. Another method we use are what's called growing degree days. I typically like using that. That's probably my number one tool. And it's a calculation where you take the high and low temperature for each and every day. You use those two numbers and you put it in an equation and it spits out a number called a growing degree day. And then when it reaches a certain amount, that's when you're like, hey, I probably ought to spray my greens. Now, however, we've had one of the most mild winters here in the Indianapolis area. I heard on the news top 10 warmest since they've been recording history. I don't know how long that is, probably over 100 years. So we've had a really mild winter, which worries me because it's not, things didn't go as dormant as long as they should. And so now I'm really keeping a close eye on this grass plant and when we are going to get out and start taking care of things. So just to give you an idea here, you see the different color grasses right here in front of me, and those are basically different biotypes of creeping bentgrass and Poa annua. So that just shows how many different hybrids are in this green, and the more diverse you have is, on one hand really nice to have, because if something happens to one type, it can take out your whole green. However, with us having many types, we don't have to run into that problem. Annual Bluegrass roots in the summer shorten up way short. I mean, less than an inch. So if it's hot for that period of time, it's water. That's why you see us hand watering. A lot of people say, well, why don't you just turn on your overhead sprinklers? Well, I don't want to water everything. I just want to water those certain type of grass plants. So I'm going to head out on this green here, and I take more than just one soil temperature reading. I'll probably do like some on the back, some in the middle, and some on the front of the green, and take the average soil temperature there. I typically stay away from shaded greens just because I know that it's going to have a lower soil temperature than those out in the sunlight, and I want to stay ahead of annual bluegrass seed head production, so it just makes sense to go after the warmer greens. So I'm going to go out and take some temperatures. So on average, I took 5 different readings from different spots, and I got an average of about 51 degrees. So mainly they were 50 degrees, but the 2 in the front were about 52, 53. So that's where we're sitting at. So another tactic I use in determining when to spray our first spring application is not only growing degree days and not only soil temperatures, but I do the worst case scenario, as in I go to cart paths, and you can see here I'm on a cart path, and I look for the annual bluegrass plants, which are all of these you see in here. And due to the cart path being a heat magnet, the soil around cart paths heat up a lot faster than they do out in the course. So that kind of gives me an indication, if I see any seed heads, that it could be close to time to spray. So I'm down here on the good old hands and knees method, and I'm looking closely at these plants, and I can see right in here. So this is the shallow root system of the POA. And where'd he go? Here we go. And I can see right here, let me clean it out, get a close up look. And you can see right on the top, right there, that is a seed head emerging. So this kind of tells me we're getting pretty daggone close. So I've done 3 things. I've checked soil temperature, I've been keeping track of growing degree days, and I've gotten down on my hands and knees to just plain old look at the grass plant itself. You know, the soil temperatures, usually most grass species up here in the north, usually 55 to 60 degrees is about the time when it starts waking things up. So seeing low 50s, you know, that was kind of a surprise this time of the year. I'm going to kind of reach out to some other people, ask them their thoughts, and see what they're doing. That's the beauty of this industry, is everybody talks to one another. They're not cheap decisions. It's spraying product, it's spraying chemical, and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. So I'm going to reach out, see what other people are saying, but me personally, I think it's just about that time to put that first application out so we can stay ahead of the annual bluegrass seed production on greens.